You're watching the VetTunes Podcast, the show that shines a spotlight on military and veteran artists. Stand by for transmission. All right, stand by for transmission indeed. We are transmitting to you from the bunker at Harmony Hill Studio in Shelbyville, Tennessee. And our guest today is Christiana. So as you know, we are here to highlight military and veteran artists, shine the spotlight on them. There are millions of artists out there in the world. And out of all of those millions of artists, there are very few that actually raise their right hand to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And I think that's pretty cool, and we should talk about that. So we started this podcast here so that we could highlight the stories of veteran and military artists. And we are absolutely honored for you to be here today. It's great that you could be here in the studio, and I'm so glad that we touched base and that you were in the Nashville area and were able to come do this. So welcome to Harmony Hill. Welcome to the VetTunes Podcast.
Thank you.
And I'm excited to, for people to hear your story.
Thank you so much. I'm excited too, because I did not, I didn't see this in the cards for me to be able to do something like this, and it just lined up in a good way. Yeah. The things that I was already doing, like literally right down the road from you. So it's very cool. Right. Yeah, very cool.
So, I contacted you, and we've known each other since 2014, and we'll get into that a little bit.
Yeah.
But I contacted you and said, hey, we're doing this podcast and would love to have you on it. Love to share your story, share your voice, share your gift.
Yeah.
And when you said that you were going to be in Bell Buckle, which I knew to be right around the corner from Shelbyville, I was like, oh, we have to make this happen. So welcome. And tell us, what I'd like to know is I have known you from 2014 on.
Yeah.
But I don't have the backstory from, your upbringing and how music was involved and what led you to the military.
Yeah.
So if you could fill us in on some of that, that'd be awesome.
I don't know. Well, I feel like that would take volumes at this point. But a snapshot of that would be, I grew up kind of right down the road from here, relatively, Northwest Georgia. Grew up in Northwest Georgia and in a kind of conservative Christian family, and I grew up singing in churches. My mom took us to nursing homes and things like that for me and my siblings to sing. And it was always like hymns or kind of these things where we whatever the current kind of Christian music, there was a big thing. I remember we did a lot of music from this audio podcast called Patch the Pirate, and we would go and sing their stuff in churches and nursing homes and different things like that. And there were 9 of us kids, and so she had kind of my mom had this little mini choir, and I remember looking forward to singing in those little performances, where I remember some of my siblings would be like, oh, we have to go. I'm not going to name drop any of them, but I know, and they know who they are.
And how many siblings are we talking about?
8. I'm the middle of 9.
Okay.
If I had a short sleeve shirt on, I have a tattoo that says 5th of 9 in the inside of my bicep for my to represent my status as the middle of 9 children.
Nice.
But I have a lot of, out of those 9 of us, there's several of them that sing exponentially better than I do. But I was the one, and I think all of them would tell you the same thing. I was the one that loved it and always wanted to, in all of our family videos, I was always the one in the background singing the old Ragged Cross or whatever hymn. And it was it actually still is kind of an ongoing joke that I was always the one just sitting in the background singing, jamming out with my hymns. And so I grew up in this environment where it was very Christian centric, very faith based. And we did, we went and sang and performed for mostly older people in churches and like, neighbors or things like that. But I always looked forward to that moment where I could go and like sing for someone else. And long story short, very long story short, it's a sordid tale of how I got in the Army. But my family also was very pro-military. We watched we didn't have a set TV, but around Memorial Weekend and Veterans Day or Thanksgiving time frame, we would rent a TV.
Wow.
And we would watch, like, you could pick your set of movies out to watch. And so we'd like have a week where we got to watch like kind of whatever we wanted, as long as it wasn't too worldly or whatever. But I remember watching a lot of the John Wayne war movies and a lot of like black and white war movies, and like that was kind of a lauded thing in my family, because I had a lot of family members that were service members, and so it was like a big deal. You watch like the Sands of Iwo Jima or D-Day or all that, and you're like, man, those guys they're so cool. And so it was never like a promoted thing, like when you grow up, you should be in the military.
Right.
But military service was applauded. Like, and it was like a sacred thing, because my dad had been in the military, and I had uncles and grandfathers that had all been in like military service. And so even though it was never pitched to me, especially as a female, like, oh, you should be in the military one day, it was still like this kind of like very esteemed thing. And so even when I was little, I was like, oh, that'd be so cool to like be in the military one day, or Army or Marine Corps. And when I was 21, I was in a job situation that was not working well. I had moved out to Texas, which I do. I love Texas immensely, but I'd moved to a job out there and it was not working out well for me at all. And I was kind of in a rock and a hard place. And I was like, well, this is the time that I go join. Maybe like, this is it. This is my chance. And so I was 21 years old, and I got a good recruiter that helped me a lot. And he got me through the process to get into the Army, and that was that. So
the recruiter was where?
He was based out of near Dallas. I can't remember the exact town. I was in Brady, Texas at the time.
Okay.
And there's not very much there. It's like the geographical center of Texas, but I don't remember that there was actually a recruiting office there. I think he was like coming down from like wherever he was at, a little bit more north. I want to say like Brownwood, Texas. If you've ever been down there, it's kind of a bigger city, a little bit north of Brady. And about the time that I was at my wit's end with a lot of things, and I was like, okay, if I'm 21, if I'm going to join the military, this is the time. And I went to Brownwood, and there was like a little strip mall, and they had a Navy recruiting office, and like I think maybe there might have been a Marine Corps, but I know there was a Navy one. I know there was an Army one, because I went in the Navy one, and they were not super well receiving of me. No offense to the Navy, because I love some of the Navy people that I've met. But I did not have a diploma at the time. I was a homeschool kid. And so they were like, oh, you don't have, I felt like they kind of talked down to me a little bit. And so not anything against them, but I was like, well, I don't need you guys anyway. Like I was salty at that time. Like I'd
That's the Navy's loss right there.
Well, I'd been through some things, and like I was not in a place to receive anything that I felt was condescending towards me.
Right.
And the thing I would always tell people, even after all these years of being in the Army or Guard, like what I love about the Army, we make jokes about it, but I love with the Army, like it really doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, or what your GT score is, like, or your ASVAB score, like the Army will take you. And I love that about it. And so I went next door to the Army office, and they were like, yeah, we'll take you. And they did. And I had a great recruiter, and he helped me. He helped me get my GED, and I went through all that stuff to kind of get that done, and then shipped off to be an MP in the Army. Long story short.
All right. So the MP, your boot camp and MP school is all in Fort Leonard Wood?
Yeah. And P Corps is, they call OSIT, one station unit training. So you go to basic and then you basically transition right into your advanced individual training.
Nice.
So they call it OSIT.
So you're an MP by trade.
Yeah.
And you
Initially.
are actually still serving.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. After a couple of different, I have actually 3 MOSs at this point. So
you have the MP MOS, and what else?
I have Army Bandsman, 42 Romeo for the Army. And that was when I transitioned out of active duty into the Guard, that was the first job I went into out of active duty, was to be a bandsman with the 135th Army Band out of Springfield, Missouri.
Okay.
National Guard Band. Yeah. And I got to work with them for 3 years, and which was awesome, especially doing music. Like, it was like a match made in heaven.
Oh, yeah.
And they were great for me. Like, they were amazing. So I did an enlistment with them for 3 years. Then I got out of the Guard and had that break in service,
right.
like a 2 or 3 year break in service. Got back in, went back to the Guard band. And then at the time I was kind of going through like life transitions and things. And I was at a point where I was burned out and kind of overwhelmed on a lot of things musically. And I was like, maybe I don't know if I want to do all these things anymore. And then this job was presented to me to be a chaplain assistant. And so I put in the application for it, and I became a 56 mic, which is religious affairs specialist for the Army. And I've been doing that ever since.
Well, that seems like a good fit. I mean, because you're very faith-based.
Yeah, very much so. And it was perfect for me because I love soldiers. I love troops immensely. Like, that was the appeal to come back in after a break in service. I was like, man, like, I miss being around troops and being around soldiers. And even if I don't ever do anything on like a grand scale, like, I think, like, I just kind of want to go back and be a part of that. And this job opened up, and I get to be in an infantry unit in the Missouri National Guard as a chaplain assistant and do all these cool things with them, and I just love it. That's awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So somewhere in there was a drill instructor assignment.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Tell us about that, because the things that I am always curious about is, I know the Marine Corps recently started recruiting in our band program vocalists.
Yeah.
And one of the big concerns with vocalists is boot camp. And you go to boot camp and you are yelling and screaming, and it's one thing to be a recruit and go through that program, but then to be a drill instructor, drill sergeant, and where you're doing it even longer,
all day, every day,
with
for 2 or 3 years,
the full power voice. And how did what was your time like on the trail? And were you thinking about your voice during that time?
Yeah, that's a great thing. I wish I wish everybody that wants to sing could know, that you should be mindful of like what you're doing in a job capacity or workforce capacity. 'Cause I did not, when I got into that assignment to be a drill sergeant, coming out, I had been in Korea for a year assignment there, and re-enlisted to go back to Leonard Wood to be a drill sergeant. So I had to do a little bit of work to get to that job and go back to Leonard Wood in the first place. And at the time I was just thinking, like, I had come from Leonard Wood to go to Korea and I wanted to go back home at that point. And I was not thinking in terms of like vocal health or being like, it never even occurred to me, or never crossed my mind, because I hadn't been doing anything singing wise or musician wise at that point. But I, go back to Leonard Wood. I'm doing the drill sergeant thing, like probably the first year. Like, there was as long as I was at Leonard Wood, I had found a couple of karaoke joints that I would go to and get my singing fix, because I had grown up singing and I loved it.
Yeah.
And so there was like a great freaking like a biker bar, dive bar called Devil's Elbow, and like anytime I was at Leonard Wood, that's where I would be on it. So
Is it
Friday,
still there?
Saturday. The building is still there. The bar is not. Like
Okay.
it closed out. Like it got flooded out multiple times over a few years. But that was the kind of play, like, especially for a church kid from northwestern Georgia. Like you're in the Army, and like I remember coming back from deployment. We would come back from Iraq, and I wanted to find a place to go do karaoke. And I, like, a couple locals were like, you need to go down to Devil's Elbow Bar and Grill. Like, it's on the river and it's cool. And I remember the very first night I ever went in there, I talked to a couple of my Army my buddies from my platoon to go in there with me. And the owner, his name's Terry, and he is one of the coolest people to this day that I've ever met. He was a Marine, actually.
Shout out
Like a
Terry,
Viet-
Semper Fi, rah.
I mean, seriously. And I already had a soft spot for Marines at that point anyway, because my uncle was a Marine. And my great uncle, actually. But, like, I met him, and I remember I came in and I was like, somebody told me you guys have karaoke. And he was like, little girl. Well, and I, like, it was just cool because he's like, little girl, we got all the karaoke you want. He's like, if it's not a night we normally have karaoke, if you tell me you want to sing, I'll call the DJ to come down here. And I was like, I don't even know this guy. I'm like, but he had us come in there and sing. And then there was a night where like some locals tried to mess with one of the guys from my little crew that went down there. And Terry, in true hardcore Marine style, like jacked that dude up. Like, I remember very vividly, I don't know if I should even say this on a podcast, but like, he grabs this dude by the throat and like slammed him up into a wall. And he was like an older guy. And I was like,
So this is Jerry we're talking about. Jerry at the club.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, Jerry versus...
But he was like, you don't mess with my troops.
Nice.
But basically, he said a lot about, he used other vernacular that I can't say in public.
Colorful language?
Very colorful language.
Okay, yeah.
But basically, he was like, you don't mess with my troops. And like set the guy down, and then the guy left. And I did karaoke, and that was the first time I ever met him, and he was amazing. And I did karaoke there for a couple years before I went to Korea, and then when I came back home, anytime I had a night off on a weekend, I went and did karaoke there.
Nice. What's your go-to karaoke tunes?
Oh, there were so many. Like, because I didn't have the background in secular music, it was all church hymns for me.
Okay.
And so
And they had that in the...
They didn't, but like I knew a few. I think I started like with Alison Krauss, a lot of her stuff, because that was something like Alison Krauss was a good crossover for me because she did so much gospel stuff. And so she was, when I was a kid, like I could kind of justify listening to her music because
Right.
it wasn't like she had all this church music, but she also had these secular albums, like these bluegrass albums that were about things of the world. But I remember going in there and doing a couple of her songs, and like there was a couple other things that I just kind of come across as I became more of an adult and had been in the Army and got out and about. And I think at that time, anything Alison Krauss, I was good. That was probably my go-to at that time, but that's been in 2009 and 10.
Okay.
I'm sure there was other things I did, but I can't remember.
So you deployed to Iraq in 2008?
2008 and 9.
Okay.
June, oh man, that's been so long. June 2008 to September 2009. Yeah.
It's a long haul.
It was, well, we were on the tail end of the 15-month stints. That was, I remember like even when we got in country over there, they were like, we're not going to keep doing 15-month deployments, but you guys have a 15-month.
That's a long time.
It's a
I mean,
very
you know,
long time.
the Marines, we went in and out of there, I think, you know, the 6-7 month rotation, but
Yeah.
then as a higher headquarters, when I went, it was for a year.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's a long time. And I didn't really understand, you know, time at that point, really. But I know that I was, you know, in December of 2004, I became a father for the first time. And then in March 2005, I left. And I came back a year later, and I just missed so much.
Yeah.
You know, and it's such a long time.
It's a very long time. Even a normal deployment. Like if you're downrange and you're doing a 3 to a 9 month. Like, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And when I went, I was very fresh out of AIT, Advanced Individual Training, and I didn't think anything other because I was just taking what the Army gave me. I was like, oh, yeah, 15 months deployment. Like, I just assumed that was what it was like for everyone.
Yeah.
And I just didn't think, like, dang, like, that's 15 months is a big commitment.
It is.
And they let you, as long as you had the leave built up for it, they would let you could do your R&R, you could do your month to go home or 3 weeks or whatever. And I did mine. A lot of people did at some point during that 15 months. But I do remember when we deployed to go in country, I was not bothered at all. I was like, yeah, cool. It's whatever. Like, this is what I joined for.
That's what we do.
And then I did my R&R, and I remember when my mom took me back to the airport from R&R to go back to Iraq. And I had not cried over anything up to that point. But that was the moment where it was like, I think that was the very first moment, the reality of what I was doing. And what I had already been in country for quite some time. I had gone home to be with my family. And like what a weird thing, to be in country in Baghdad and be doing combat missions and convoy security. We were training Iraqi police, all these things, and you see some crazy things. Then you could go home back to America for a month where it's totally normal again.
And nothing's really changed.
Yeah. And then on top of that, now you have to go back in country. And it wasn't, I remember crying because I don't think it's not that I was like not wanting to go back and be with my unit again. It was just, there were a lot of realities that I had not been aware of when we initially deployed, that when my mom takes me back to the airport after some R&R, after I'd already been in country, I think 10 months.
Yeah.
Ish.
I think a deployment like that where it's long and you have, like for us, if you were there a year, you get 2 weeks. So I remember going home on the 2 weeks, and it was somewhere around the halfway point. And it just seemed like everything changed. Yeah. So you're there and you're serving and you're doing all the things that you're asked to do, and then to come home and be just immersed in normalcy, real life, and everything everything goes on as normal for everybody else, and then as soon as your feet hit home, there's a clock in you, at least for me, and it just ticks down, and it seemed to go exponentially faster than when you're overseas, and where it's just like, it seems like it's taking forever. A minute seems like a week, it's a long time.
Yep. And then you're going to get back on that plane and go back to where your unit's at and your team and all that. Like, it's a lot. And, I mean, I was 21, 22 at the time, and I thought I was grown then, but in hindsight, I'm like, man, there's a lot of things I didn't have figured out, and processing all that stuff, especially I going into a lot of it initially and going into a deployment, I thought I kind of had it on lockdown. Like, right. I thought, and I think in a lot of ways, I had a better mentality than the average in that, like, my faith base is pretty strong for me. Like, I don't worry about a lot of things that I've seen my peer groups worry about, but I did not have as good a concept of what I was going into until I'd been there 10 months, and then I go home, then I have to go back.
Oh yeah.
So that second time going back into Iraq from R&R, and I'm by myself, and I'm leaving. My mom's the one that drops me off at the airport, and then I fly back however many hours to get into Kuwait, and then take the bus to get back into BIOP or Baghdad International. Like, it's a different. It tests you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's exactly why we're here, is because we have amazing songwriters and artists like you that have done that. And I think that's important. And we want to highlight that. Yeah. And so you get back, this is 2009, late 2009.
Yeah.
Fill me in from 2009 to 2014 when we met, like from the music stuff. Okay. And
I mean, there's a lot of things there. But while I was deployed, if you're on a fob where it's kind of built up a little bit and there's a little bit more to kind of contribute to like morale, MWR type stuff. Yeah. They did karaoke contests.
Oh, yeah.
And so while I was in Iraq, like we're in Camp Liberty, Baghdad, and they did a karaoke contest. And I remember going and doing that and singing in that. And and it was just a whole different vibe. Like I had not felt that kind of like connection with people where like it wasn't just like what I had grown up knowing in like a church thing or like a praise and worship. Like I was just kind of getting to sing and like kind of feel out my own personality with it. And that was kind of, it kind of carried on some of that karaoke kind of thing. I just like experimented with just a tiny bit before deployment. And so I did that in Iraq in Camp Liberty, doing your first like karaoke contest or whatever. And that was great. And it made me want to do more of it. And so we get back from Iraq and I go find Devil's Elbow with my amazing Marine Corps hero, Terry or Jerry.
Terry, a.k.a. Jerry.
A.k.a. Jerry. Yeah. And so that kind of started like this process for me where while I was at Leonard Wood, about every weekend I could go do karaoke and get to sing and find ways to kind of express myself and my voice in ways that I hadn't got to do singing in church when I was growing up. I love singing in church. I still love singing in church.
When you got back from deployment, you went back to Leonard Wood at that time?
We went back to Leonard Wood, so stationed there for a bit. Find Devil's Elbow Bar and Grill in near Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and doing karaoke with that crew that was there. They had a great DJ there at the time, and she made me feel very like I had not experienced people that made me feel like a singer ever. That thought process had never really been a thing for me, but like she would pick like a song and be like, go home and learn this and come back and sing it next weekend. Like she was very pivotal for me. Her name was Mo.
Coaching.
Mo.
Yeah,
Ramona. And she...
Thank you, Ramona.
Yeah, I adore her even still because she gave me all these kind of faculties to be a confident, like...
She saw it in you.
You can go and do the stuff, like go and sing and be comfortable and happy doing it. And so she would kind of send me home with like a little bit of homework for karaoke for the next weekend and go back and sing and do that. And then long story short... I'm at Leonard Wood. I did a year-long assignment to Korea, come back to Leonard Wood again to be a drill sergeant. And during all that time, like intermittently, if I'm at Leonard Wood, I was doing karaoke. And so fast forward to 2013, and I'm on the trail full time. I'm a drill sergeant in a OSIT unit, one station unit training, MP unit. And I remember seeing it get promoted. They were going to do the Army's or the military's version of American Idol. Like they called it Operation Rising Star.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was a big thing. And they were going to do it at Leonard Wood. And it just so happened that while they were doing that contest at Leonard Wood, it was going to be during a cycle break for us, like us drill sergeants.
Perfect.
So I was in this, the unit I was in, Bravo 787, and we had just dropped off a unit, graduated and sent them home, and we had about a 2-week cycle break until the next unit was to come and get picked up. And that was about the time frame they were going to do. It was about a 2-week period. They were going to do Operation Rising Star at Fort Leonard Wood.
So was it hosted completely at Fort Leonard Wood?
Well,
or did they do it around different bases?
Yeah,
And then
so
there was kind
rounds.
of some semifinals.
So if it's like a local installation round,
okay,
you do 2 weeks. And if you made it through that, then you go to like the DOD, essentially, because there was, I know when I made it through the Fort Leonard Wood rounds, and then I went down to San Antonio, Texas. And when I got there, there was like an Air Force guy, there was a couple of spouses. There were people from all over the force there that had made it through their local. So I think it was just like whatever installation wanted to host it, then it was open to all active duty members and all spouses.
So they just sent you TAD down there?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I like even at the time, I think my leadership was a little skeptical. They were like, when I won installation level, and they were like, "So you got an invite to go to San Antonio? Like, who's going to pay for that?" And I was like, "I think Rising Star pays for it." And then the guys at Operation Rising Star, there was like, can I say like names? Is it
sure?
Cool? Victor Hurtado.
I know Victor.
You know Victor?
I do.
Yeah. So he was a big. Like,
shout out Victor.
Yeah, shout out Victor. Because I mean, like, and I always see he comes anything that's like military music related. It's like his name always comes up. Like he's always been like this underpinning for all the stuff.
Yeah,
and I think he was like a big mover and shaker for that. Like he, I know he helped. I'm pretty sure he helped produce that show, and then he also, like when we got down there and did it, like he was this authentic, like a real time person that had served in the military, but was also trying to like help all of us service members kind of grab onto it.
Yeah, he sees the talent in people.
Yeah,
and he helps.
I think I remember thinking like when I went down there, I was like, man, like I was so excited for that opportunity, but I was like, is this like a legit thing, or is it just kind of like a one of like pandering type, like let's just kind of get whatever service members we can or whatever. But like I got down there and his presentation and the way that he talked about it was so like he was legit.
Yeah.
Like he was all about that mission of like there's talent in the military and they won't get. I remember having this conversation. He was like, the reason, and I'm paraphrasing, but I remember him talking about his vision for this and that he was like, there's all these military members that have talent and they'll never get a chance to present it like somebody that's not. Because you're near Nashville, right? Like if you have a talent and you want to like pursue, whether it's musicianship as a guitarist or a drummer or a singer or a songwriter, like you go into that like balls to the wall, like you're really doing it. But I remember the way he pitched it to me because I was like, what? Like what's the ultimate goal of all this? And he was like, service members don't get to do all that. They don't get in Nashville. If you want to make it, you have to pay your dues. Like what do they call it, like a 10-year town, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That you have to go there and do your 10 years before you can ever make it. And I remember him kind of like, he's talking about all that stuff. And he was like, there's all these service members with all this talent and all this desire and heart and all this motivation to do it. But they can't go spend their 10 years in the 10-year town or go to Vegas or not Vegas or Los Angeles and do whatever there to like break in music. They're like, they're doing their time serving their country.
Right.
Like their 10 years or somewhere.
Yeah. No,
so,
I mean, there's definitely a lot of missed opportunities for sure if you are a musician or singer-songwriter or you play in a band and things like that, you know, but that's part of raising the right hand is you know that you're going to have to put that aside for a while. So, you know, the fact that there are programs in the services, in the case of the Army or the DOD doing the Operation Rising Star, I mean, what a great opportunity.
It was. Another thing I liked with it was that it promoted service members that have musical aspirations, but also like there were spouses that did it too. It was open to active service members and their spouses. And so like I got this chance to rub shoulders with some of the best vocalists, like spouse vocalists. And these people, I mean, oh my gosh, like they were incredible. Mm. And I thought that was another special and cool thing about that program because it did offer an equal opportunity to service members and spouses. And there's not a lot of things that I have run across that give an equal playing field to both.
Right.
And I thought that was super cool. Especially with some of the vocalists that I encountered in that program that were spouses that I'm like, dude, it was like standing next to Whitney Houston.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like vocally, it was just like mind blowing. And because they had followed their husbands or wives around in the military, they wouldn't get those opportunities in 20 years to go and sing.
It's the same thing for them. You know,
Yeah.
they serve too.
Yeah.
And there's opportunities that get missed in life
Yeah.
because of your spouse chose a certain profession, and
Yep.
you know there's a lot of sacrifices that take place. So for programs like that, it's great.
Yeah. Especially programs where like there's an opportunity for, if you have the talent and desire for that, like me, like you can go a bit, like it's all spouses, all military members, and they can compete against each other. Like there's not a lot, at least not that I saw, like not a lot of things where a spouse could compete actively and like hardcore against a service member, give them a run for their money.
That's
like,
true. That's true.
And that was what I thought was cool. Like most things that you would present in a military environment, where spouses could compete against a service member, it'd be like maybe a physical, you know, I've seen some like military centric CrossFit type things, or like, but like a lot of times it is like, if you look at it outside looking in, you're like, oh, like maybe the service members have a little advantage. But like, if it's a vocal thing, Operation Rising Star, it really, like, can you sing or not?
Yeah.
And like to watch some of those spouses come in and lay waste to the service members. I like that. And even like looking back, I'm like, man, like that was a unique and cool experience to get to see some spouses come in there and dominate.
So you did the local competition at Leonard Wood, and then you went to San Antonio for, was that the finals or the regionals? Or?
Yeah, it was a final.
And how did that work out?
Well, it was 2 weeks, and you got to go down and you get vocal coaching from world class. Like the judges that were in it, it was, Victor was one, and then there was like Michael Peterson, who's like, he was a recording country artist. He had like multiple hits in the 90s and had a studio. And like this very, I mean, like he's a legit fixture in country music. And then like another lady who'd been like a coach on The Voice. And like, so the people that were involved as judges, like they're legit.
Yeah.
Like they're the real deal.
I think that whole production was legit.
It was it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like that was, it didn't, I don't think it got like the national airplay that like The Voice did. Like, you know, it's
Sure.
it for whatever reason, I'm not into that. I can't speak educatedly to that side of things, but like I would imagine it's because, you know, there's other element, like you can't just go and like put it out on national television because it is a military, it's a DoD production, you know. So
Right.
there's other, you know, maybe some like some limitations to what you can do, but the quality of it and the people they brought in, they had like a choreographer that kind of worked with us on like group numbers and these fantastic vocal coaches. And that was the first time in my life that I had experienced that element of performance and vocal skill. Like nobody had ever taught me formally how to take care of my vocal cords and how to prepare myself for performances, like physically and mentally.
Right.
And I wasn't afraid to be in front of people. Like I was used to like being in front of people as a drill sergeant, but to do it in an entertainment capacity, that was different. And it took me a minute to
Now,
get it.
during this time, had you already been the 42 Romeo? Have you already been in the... Okay, so once Rising Star, and then they obviously saw your talent, then did they offer you the opportunity to lap move?
No, well, that was kind of a residual piece of all that, because I did Operation Rising Star, and because there was this great active community where I was at Leonard Wood, my husband at the time, or ex-husband, like he was in all that stuff too. So he was like sharing it and promoting it. And like the community at Leonard Wood really is, it's tight knit. Like people can say what they will. I've heard a lot of like kind of polarizing views about Leonard Wood, but that is a community. If you're in it and if you've kind of taken ownership of where you live there, like people will take care, like they take care of their own.
Yeah.
And even after the finals were over in San Antonio and I came back home, I'd be in like Walmart and people that I had never met in my life would be like, oh my God, Christiana, like I stayed up all night and voted for you. Because it was like there was a 24-hour period in that show that you could vote as many times as you wanted. Mm-hmm. And which some of the contestants didn't like that. But I also I was like, I mean, I think that was kind of a cool thing for that show because it kind of like, I think good music or not good music, but like getting out there as an artist is very contingent on what your fan base is willing to do for you.
Right.
And I thought that was a cool and unique thing for Operation Rising Star, and that they gave an opportunity. If there's a fan base for a performer in that show, here's your 24 hours to prove it. And people that I did not know, like I didn't have a band. There was like, it was just that I had a great community where I came from there at Leonard Wood, and those people, like many people, I've had several over the years. People were like, I remember in 2013 when I stayed up all night with making pots of coffee so I could just keep voting for you as many times. Because like they would send you like a code. Like you could go and request a code, and that's the code you used to vote for, and you could just keep repeating that cycle as many times as you could in 24 hours.
That's great.
It was great. And it taught me like a valuable lesson in building a good community of people like that believe in you. Because you can do in music, I know you know this too, like if you have the heart for it, like you can do like 1,000 times over with maybe a fan base or a friend base of 100 people that really believe in you than maybe 100,000 people that are like, oh, I downloaded your song one time. Like, that's cool. That's
Right.
great if you do it.
Mm-hmm.
But like the people that really believe in you and are willing to kind of go to bat and stay up overnight and vote for you,
Yeah.
like for 24 hours straight, like those people are the OGs. They're real
So I
deal.
think that's kind of the difference between the TikTok generation.
Yeah.
You know, where you're competing for somebody's 4 to 6 seconds worth of time, and if you get them in 4 to 6 seconds, you might have them for 30 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's community is a big part of it.
Yeah.
You know, and getting out, playing live,
Yeah.
you know, doing the shows that are awesome, doing the shows that are absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
You know, either way, you're getting in the reps, you're getting in, you know, getting comfortable with people and, you know, getting comfortable on stage and building that rapport. And I think a lot of that gets missed now with
Yeah.
the, you know, a lot of people trying to be influencers and artists at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah. And like the soundbite generation or the
Right.
soundbite culture.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I'm trying to get better at being a devil's advocate for all the things, even if it's something I don't agree with, like, or that is not my thing. And what I appreciate about it, or what like that soundbite culture kind of forced out of me the last couple of years that I played, is that it required me to be a lot more intentional. If I'm going to put something out, it better, like, you need to be intentional, and you need to be very, like, you need to plan it out. And like, I had this sort of like personal philosophy most of my life, even before the Army, but especially while I was in the Army, is like, if you get 10 seconds with the world, like, what do you want them to know about you?
Right.
What do you want them to remember? And like that might be too exhaustive way to like live your life, but it does make you, if you think about like all the things that you say and do, and like the job choices you make, or the assignments that you take, or all the like whatever it is, like life choices that you're going to do, like if you get 10 seconds to tell about yourself, or to try to make people commiserate with you, or to like get online with like what you're doing, like, man, you better make sure that your life is worth or that the things that you're doing, like, I don't want to just go out there and like arbitrarily be like, oh, I just like locked in on this one thing. Like, I want to make sure that whatever I do in my life is of a quality that I can put it together in 10 seconds. Maybe not 10 seconds, but like I can just sort of like nutshell it and tell people like, this is what I've done. This is who I am. And like, can you get online with that? Mm-hmm. Can you share that with me? And I do have a hard time sometimes with TikTok culture. Like I really do, because I grew up in this very conservative Southern Christian environment, and I like the immediate feedback and the immediate like grandeur moments are hard for me to accept. But I do like my takeaway that I do like about it is that it does kind of force you to, you better narrow it down and like find the best of the thing that you are or the thing that you want to say, and you better like lock it in pretty quick. So I'm trying to find the best of it. I don't always love it. I watch sometimes, I'm like, man, like this immediate gratification thing with TikTok, I have a hard time with it.
Well, it can be exhausting, and several of the veteran artists that have been here in the seat, and we talked a little bit about it, but nowadays you have to be more than a songwriter, more than an artist. You have to be a content creator, and you have to put out this and that. It's the trying to beat the algorithms, and but I still. I'm still the old guy that, get off my grass.
Right?
I still when I talk about, music, I think of CDs, and I know that immediately dates me. I did grow up in a vinyl age, kind of coming out of the 8-track into the vinyl age, but it's just I really think there's no substitute for going out and playing in front of people and building a fan base.
Yeah, and real life connections with people. In whatever format, like the issue with the influencing, like the content creation was a big thing that burned me out from playing music. Once I got into it and I did it for a couple of years, I was like, everything is about the social media presence more so than just being there in person in a show with a crowd. And I'm not good at creating content. I am not, admittedly, like that is not my thing. And I kind of tried to do the best I could with it, but it just felt, a lot of times it felt so like contrived to me and so inauthentic. And I don't want to force things with people. I want to just kind of be like, hey, I'm gonna play a show tonight. If you want to come. If you don't, that's cool too. And
well, I think there's a certain amount of humility that comes with being in the service, or when you start kind of moving up the ladder, sometimes it's hard to really be your biggest and own cheerleader.
Yeah.
And that's why that community of people like you were talking about that were voting for you, the lady you met in Walmart, that's real.
Yeah.
And that's the real community that's out there, and that's gonna get you to where you need to go, even if it's just packing out the tater patch.
Yeah. Oh, the tater patch.
I see that over the years I've seen every time you mention the tater patch, I'm like, wow, what a great name.
Yeah.
It just sounds fun. It just sounds like a great place to play.
I think it's like a perfect poster child of true rural America live music venues. Like if you were just gonna like line up a few of the ones to kind of like give people a snapshot of great live music venues in all these rural places, like that would be one that would have to be there.
That's awesome.
Because I mean, they capture all those, like, it's a great name, obviously.
Yeah.
And it ties into like the food that they're all about. Like you get a barbecue tater or a like whatever mac and cheese tater or whatever the case. But on top of that, they do all these things that are so like Americana cool, like very
authentic,
live music driven, authentic, and like that place has changed. I mean, I think the venue itself is like 50 or 60 years old and has changed hands a few times. And like the people that have it now they're big believers in it. They have a band. And they're like big believer. Those like why I always want to play there, even if I don't have like an active musician group. If I can put something together to play a show there, like that's where I want to go. Because I know the owners, they believe in the things that I want to do. Like you create a live music moment for people to connect with, and there's nothing like that. I love like content's great. Live show, like live social media feeds and all that, and like comment if you see my thing, but like when you can be in a real moment with people on like, on a back deck somewhere in mid-Missouri at the Tater Patch, and like you're just all sitting out there with like the little pit fire going in the middle, and you're just like jamming out on whatever songs. To me, it just doesn't even matter what it is. Like I love my country music and my rock and stuff, but like if somebody comes up and they request a song and we can do it, and you can see that moment with them, and you're like, here we are in mid-Missouri, America at the Tater Patch on this back deck in the middle of nowhere. And we're having a moment that we'll probably all remember for the rest of our lives. Like that's.
I loved the relationships that I have built with venue owners, because, some of the venue owners have seen the best of the best.
Yeah.
And, a lot of the venues that we, had worked our way up to playing were some of those kind of rite of passage places where all the bands that I love played there. Dave Matthews played there, Hootie the Blowfish played there, the Black Crowes. I mean, and then now you're like, wow, I'm on this stage, and then to build that rapport and that friendship with the owners, for all the great things that they have seen, for them to see something in you and believe in you, man, that's the best.
100%.
That's the best. All right, so what happened with Operation Rising Star?
Oh, well, so I did win that.
You won it.
I did win it.
So out of the entire Army around the globe and the spouses, you won it.
I did. But it was my community voted, like.
Yeah.
And that was a cool, with those like singing competitions, like you can look at it either way. Like maybe sometimes you kind of wish it could be more coach driven or judge driven, or you wish that it could be all audience driven. But with that contest, like there was a percentage of it that was driven by the judges, but the bulk majority was like the online voters. So people that sat down and watched the live feeds and they could go vote. I remember like there was like 3 or 4 people in those finals with me that I was like, there's like, they blow the socks off me vocally. Like there's no way I knew that. Like there was one girl, a spouse that she was like Whitney Houston quality vocals. There was no way I would ever compete with her vocally. But at that place in time, I happened to be coming from Leonard Wood, and I was a drill sergeant on the trail, and I had a community of people. There was like the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association. I was a member at that time. And that was just one chapter, but every member in that chapter had shared it to all the chapters around the nation.
Nice.
And so there were people in Combat Vets Motorcycle Association, the VFW, and then just that community there, like...
Yeah, she's one of ours. Let's go.
Yeah, and those people just went to bat.
That's great.
For it. And, like, I've still struggled with that because my whole life, like, I grew up with my siblings who I always knew, like, there was, like, 2 or 3 of my siblings who were, like, the best vocalists, even still. Like, I'm like, I would never want to try to compete with them because technically they were better than me in every way. But I was the one that always wanted to sing when they didn't. And I think that is one of, like, the maybe the qualities that has kind of kept me going is that, like, it's not that I'm trying to, like, it's not about me competing with somebody. It's just like, this is a thing that I want to do, like, when I can. My mom has this story about, like, when I was born at home, and she's like, you were born, we went through all the trauma of your birth and all that, and then we had you in your little crib next to the bed, And she's like, it was about an hour or two after you'd been born. And I woke, like I was kind of snoozing, but I woke up and it sounded like you were trying to sing. And she's like, none of my other kids ever. And it's not that I'm like all of her kids have these special things that she had with them, but mine, like she knew, and she was reminded me of that many times when I did not want to like sing for other people anymore.
Right.
So she's like, you
sang right out of the womb.
Right out of the womb. Like, and I didn't have those moments as a child, like singing in my hairbrush, pretending I was Whitney Houston. I didn't know who Whitney Houston was. I didn't know who Madonna was, but like once as I was exposed to music and exposed to singing, like that was just a thing that I did. Like that's just, it just, I don't want to go out there and try and like be better or compete with it. Like that was kind of a little bit of a conflict I had when I did Rising Star. I was like, man, these people are way better than me. But I also like really love to do this.
Yeah.
I really want to do this.
Well, you got to believe in yourself too.
Yeah. And like believe, like, I think believe in like what you are, like now in high, like back then I really struggled with it. And I was very conflicted because I knew that technically I was not as good as people in that show. But what I didn't realize, like, I didn't take into account that like I was a person that that really just kind of loved to sing, and I had this kind of network of people I'd done karaoke around, and like the combat vet people, and like they want to see somebody, I think with the arts or with like performing, people want to see somebody that loves what they do as much as somebody that is good at what they do. And like they like, it's great if you're super talented, but like also I think, or my lesson for myself and to kind of find a good mental space in performing is like, I don't, at least for me, people like, maybe they don't care as much if like you sound like Whitney Houston or not, or Celine Dion or whatever. Like they want to have a moment with you where they feel good, they see you feel good with music, and like you translate that to the room, and like, and you give them something they can take home and remember. Like I didn't know that when I was in Rising Star. Like I was just kind of like, why are these people voting for me? Because I'm not as good as this other person in this contest. And I was like struggling with that pretty hard. And the first couple of years I played in the band. I had a band and was doing covers. And I was like, I'm not as good as so-and-so or blah, blah, blah. But then like, as I got a little bit further down the road, it was like I don't need to be as good as, like, I just love singing and I love having these moments with people.
Yeah. I think that absolutely shows in some of the content that you have out there or that I've seen. Is there's a lot of pictures and videos of you interacting with the crowd.
Yeah.
It's not just you.
Yeah.
It's the us.
Yeah.
It's the experience of that moment.
Yeah.
And that's special.
Yeah, we just all love music together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like if it's a cover band show and I see there's a kid there that wants a Taylor Swift song, like, hell yeah, let's do a Taylor Swift song.
Yeah.
And then you like kind of get in that moment with that one family or that one kid, and they're singing along with you, and like they're in it, and you're like, that you cannot like, you can't like conjure that. Like you can't just like decide like, I'm gonna go make this content. Like it's just like the place and the time where that person, if you've done the work to make them comfortable enough in the first place, like you've created this platform where like, if you're here in the moment with me, if I'm here with my cover band, if you're here, you're part of this with me. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're a musician on the stage or you're one of the bachelorettes on the dance floor dancing, or if you're the family, like up in the balcony with the kids. Like if I have done the work to make everybody there feel like they're included, and then somebody, especially like, you know, in those few, there's been a couple of times where like a kid would come and be like, do you know any Taylor Swift? Or do you know any, you know, like those are some of the coolest moments for me, because that kid and their family, you know, because not every family is going to be like, yeah, child, go up there and ask that lady if she knows. Like, so the family's that comfortable too. Sure. In that moment. And they feel that safe and that like part of the thing where they're like, yeah, go ask if the singer knows whatever. Like those are the cool moments. Like I'll remember that stuff. I feel like probably on my deathbed.
Oh yeah.
Like where I didn't need like it. it stopped being about if I was good or the best or whatever technically or not, like that I just got to have moments with people and like create this thing that we all just get to be in a minute together.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, that's the power of music.
it is.
It's the universal language. It brings people together, and there's a strong force that comes with it.
It is. I'm like, I love it. Like,
Yeah.
especially with live, like, and that, like, that's in my thought processes and moving forward with music is like, how, like, I want to always do music in some capacity. Like, I always will. But I want to, like, pursue things that I can have those moments. Like, I would love to record more or do an album or, all the things. But, like, now that I have gotten to have so many moments with people that it was just like, I didn't have to build it or force it or coerce it. I was just doing what I wanted to do music wise. And then somebody shows up and they're like, I'm in this with you. And by the way, can I have this part of this moment? And then you're like, yes, please take that. And then you make this thing that, if you're lucky enough that somebody caught it on video, you can go back and be like, dude, that was the coolest. And I have a few of those. I can go back and like look at a YouTube video or a Facebook clip and just feel this like
Connectedness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
awesome.
pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
That's the magic of music, or for me.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do all these other things, and I've had all these like, visions of, wouldn't it be cool to be in like a stadium or this or that? But ultimately, the beauty of music is connecting with other people. So if I can have moments where I just have my cover band or whatever and get to go out there and connect with a little crowd at the Ozarks, Missouri, where I live, like, I think I'd be cool with that.
Yeah.
It's pretty rad.
It's a fun hang.
It's super fun.
So you won Operation Rising Star. What opportunities did that open up for you?
Oh man, that's a cool magic question. Not magic question. I mean, it's a great question because, well, you were part of one of those opportunities. That's where I met you.
Well, you get to play at the White House.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How was that?
Maybe the White House is why I'm ruined to all music like endeavors, because once you do something like that, it's the feeling is kind of like I did the coolest thing that you could imagine doing, music, or to me anyway. I had to play at the White House.
I mean, number one, you are you're a singer, you're an artist, you're a soldier, and you're singing in uniform.
Yeah. Yeah,
at the Commander-in-Chief's house.
Yeah. Yeah. With, there's a point where like you're with some of your idols up there too. Because the end of that whole thing, we do like a closeout song, and I'm standing 4 feet away from Willie Nelson and 6 feet away from John Fogerty, who are like, they're icons to me.
Oh, yeah?
John Fogerty, that was my first introduction to classic rock, in my teens, was because of John Fogerty, like CCR. I remember that was pretty much CCR and Leonard Skinner were kind of the first classic rock bands that I ever heard and I was a teen at like 16, 17 years old, because I'd, very conservative raising. Right. You're not allowed to listen to anything that's not from a hymnal or whatever, or not on Moody Radio. Which again, I mean, I'm not knocking that, because I think like the plus for me is that growing up that way has made me appreciate all music. Like once I started listening to everything else that was out there in the world, it was mind blowing to me. Like CCR was a visceral, life-changing thing for me to hear CCR the first little bit that I started listening to them. And then, you fast forward, 10, 15 years, and I am getting to be on a stage with John Fogerty and get to talk to him and sing a song with him and Willie Nelson, who also is this pivotal. I think Willie Nelson probably has been pivotal in every musician's life in some form, or like he's influenced music so heavily.
Absolutely.
You can't get around, like he's phenomenal.
There's a performance aspect, there's a musician aspect, and then there's a songwriting aspect.
Yeah.
And then there's all of the business,
Yeah.
inner workings, and
Yeah.
Some of those didn't work out too well for him.
No,
but
he he always kept pushing that envelope with things.
Yeah.
He's always kept his foot in the door of everything that he could do, and I mean, you cannot knock that guy.
No.
He's fantastic.
He is.
And genius. I think.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, I get to do. There was the White House thing, and then in between that was our ACM thing where I met you.
Yeah. So that was April of 2014. How did that go about for you?
So I did Operation Rising Star, and then not long after that, one of the producers of Rising Star sent me an email, and he was like, "Hey, Academy of Country Music Awards is going to do this. They're going to do a salute to the troops, and I think you would be a good fit for that, but you have to submit a packet. Like, you have to, kind of send in whatever about yourself."
Right.
And he was like, "I just think, your personality would be good for it, and it would be a cool thing." So I checked with my first, because I was still on the trail at that time too. I was still a drill sergeant, so we're still doing, 18-hour days mostly, and a 19-week cycle with soldiers.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, this would be a little bit more tricky because we have soldiers currently that we're training or whatever. So I talked to my first sergeant, and I was like, hey, this wouldn't be as long as the Rising Star thing, probably a few days, but it could be really cool. And I would really like to do it if you're willing to and I have told this to many people too. I owe a lot to my company and battalion leadership at the time, because they went out of their way to make sure that I could go and do some things that I wanted to do, musically, and they didn't, because if you're a drill sergeant, usually people are like, "No, you're in the suck, and you're going to go out there and this is what you signed up for." And they never made me feel bad about it. They never, they were always like, I remember my first sergeant in particular, he was like, because I felt bad, and I was like, "I really want to do this, but I don't want to leave you guys stranded." And he was like, "You're telling the Army story if you go out there and do it. Don't feel bad." That dude.
That's true.
That dude, Mitchell, First Sergeant Mitchell was his name. And I will never forget, he was very good at bringing out good things in people across the board. But when I went and talked to him, and I was like, "I feel bad, but I really want to do this," he's like, "Don't feel bad. If you get an invite to do something like that, you're telling the Army story. That's more than what a lot of recruiters can do." Right.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. I was stationed in Hawaii, had a song that came out, kind of patriotic in nature, and then we shot a video for it. And it was at Marine Corps Base, Kaneohe Bay. It was at the air station.
Yeah.
And I was a lieutenant colonel at the time. My buddy was the OPSO over there. And I was just like, "Hey, it'd be cool if we could shoot a video over there." And he's like, "Yeah, done." So, we go over there, and we went to the hangar, and there was a C-130 out there, and there was all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then the public affairs folk got involved, because we had kind of circumvented that, and not intentionally, didn't know.
Yeah.
And they said, "Hey, if you're going to use government property and all of that stuff, then you need to have this thing cleared." So we got it cleared through the office that the Marine Corps has in Los Angeles, and it's the film and TV, the liaisons for all that stuff. And their thought, just like what you were saying, is they said, "We know who you are. We know what you do. We know that you've got a public persona as well. But, the song, the things that you do all reflect positively on the Marine Corps, and therefore it's approved."
Amen.
And it was really cool. I mean, they could have easily gone, "Who are you? What are you doing? This is against the rules," and just crush it.
Yeah.
But they didn't, and I always thought that was really cool. So
that is cool. That's a good credit to them, because it is, I think, especially in the current culture, or the last decade of culture, I think it's important to get creative in how you present the military, the military to the public. It's not like what it was 20 years ago. And I think it's that, like, those kinds of things, to hear that, like, I can't imagine that did anything but appeal to military service, or specifically Marine Corps service, to anybody that would have seen that. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah. Did they send a film crew out to you?
No, they, for the ACMs thing.
For the ACMs.
They had me do, like, it was like they were like, make a video of yourself, like, talking about your background. And so, I had to do that. I did. They said I think they wanted something else. It was like a PAO type soundbite, you know, of me talking or something. But I had to kind of make this packet and then send it in. And I remember that I was stressed out because when I got the email about this opportunity, it was like 2 days out from the deadline. So I'm like, I get this email and they're like, oh yeah, I think you would be good for this. And like, you've already done Rising Star and like, you should go on and try. But I had like 2 days to put a packet together and like try to put it all in. So like, you scramble, try to get all that done. Do the videos, do like a about yourself type video,
right,
and send it in. And so that got me to the ACMs where I met you and some other cool people.
So for the folks who may not be familiar with what we're talking about, in 2014, an opportunity came along, and through the Department of Defense and all the services, they were doing an all-star salute to the troops. The Academy of Country Music was. And they wanted to bring in some service members to perform with some country artists and then shoot this special. And for me, I got an email from a buddy of mine who was actually at Fort Sill, and he goes, "Hey, have you heard about this thing?" Because for the Marine Corps, it came down through like the family network. It didn't necessarily go through the operational chain, Right. So I think a lot of people may have missed it. But he sent it to me, and he's like, "Hey, there's this thing, you ought to apply for it." I'm like, "Okay, sure, I will." And so I did. And I was the XO at the Wounded Warrior Regiment at the time up in Quantico.
Nice.
And I sent them, a couple of music videos, a little music bio, and then the next thing they said, "Okay, you're in, and we're going to send a film crew out to you to do your backstory." And I was like, well, that's cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
So they show up, and we wound up going to the Marine Corps Museum, and got to get some of the Marines and sailors from the regiment in there. Wow. And it was really cool. And then we ended that with a segment at my house, right? So it's kind of an interview segment. And at that point, they handed me an envelope, and they said, "We want you to open this and read it." And I've got the letter somewhere, but I opened it, and it's like, "Dear Lieutenant Colonel Mike Corrado, we thank you for your service, and we would be honored if you would join us and sing a song with Toby Keith called 'Call a Marine.'"
Oh my goodness!
And I was reading this, just going, "What?"
Cried.
So I did find these. And since you and I are part of the only, we are two of the 10 service members that actually participated.
I remember these.
We got our lanyards.
I remember having one of these.
Our ACM lanyards. Yeah, I still had this. It was sitting in the workshop, and I was just like, "Oh, I got to break these things out."
Oh my God, I felt so fancy.
I know, right?
Come here.
That's Noelle. She's going to join us.
She said she wanted a little upsie. Yeah.
So
come and hang out.
I broke out this little red Solo cup because
for Toby.
This is the cup right here that he handed me as we were walking up.
That's the actual one
to our mark. That's the actual one.
Oh my God!
Right,
so
and it's
cool.
still got a little remnants of the Jack and Coke, I think, that he had in there. But the cameras were rolling, and it was Scotty Emmerich and Toby and I'm in full blue white, Sam Brown belt, all the stuff. And we are walking to our mark, and he hands me this cup. And I'm like, shit. So I was like, do I put it down? Do I set it? And so what I did is I was just like, all right, screw it. So I held it up. And man, I caught shit for it.
Did you?
There was a lot of people that thought I was dipping on national TV, and that was a spit cup. Then there was actually some public affairs folks at the Pentagon that wanted to have me relieved.
Are you kidding?
Because I was glamorizing alcohol on national television.
Shut up.
And it became a thing.
Are you serious? I did not know that.
Yeah, yeah. So that was after the fact. So, and then I have this little Bud Light can, and this is the whatever their 2014, can model. But this is a can that my wife had when we went on Toby's bus, and he had Bud Lights on there. He also had a keg, and then he had a whole lot of Jack and Diets, and I didn't drink anything that day.
Yeah.
And then he handed me that, so people were thinking I've got just a loaded cup on national TV in uniform. So it became a thing. But and I realized that he gave me this thing, and I was just like, I'm going to hang on to this, right? So I did, and then my wife and I were at the hotel. We were at the MGM Grand.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So we're at the MGM Grand, and I'm looking at this cup, and I'm like, man. And and I know that it's over. I'm not going to see the people again, and I'm like, man, I should have had him sign this thing. I'm on the bus, I'm carrying this thing around.
Right.
We after the show, when the cameras were off, we did load this thing up, so that was a good time. But
that is a good. I'm so glad you kept.
Yeah.
That
So
too.
later on that summer, I got to in St. Louis at the amphitheater. I got my wife's from St. Louis, and I went with my sister-in-law and my nephews and my wife, and we went to the show. And I called the folks, and they got me some passes and whatever. And then I got backstage, and then when I saw him, he goes, "Oh, we got to do that song." So we just changed the set list, and we went and did Call a Marine, and it was just fantastic.
So awesome.
And for everybody out there that they're looking at that cup back there that he signed, or this cup here, it's not a flex at all. It's just a memento from a really great time.
Yeah.
Where I was lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And it was just a cool opportunity. And one of the things that I want to get out to the people who are there, especially the folks that are in uniform right now, and they're in their barracks, or they're playing at home, and they're they want to go and do music. Be aware of the things that are happening in your service or in the Department of Defense, because you never know when these things are going to pop up.
100%.
And it was great to meet you there. It was as we were lining up and walking out to the stage, there was a bit of a little kerfuffle, because you as a drill sergeant, and then there was a couple other Marines. No, it was great. But there was a couple other Marines, Matt Smith and John Edauer.
Yeah.
And they performed with Lady Antebellum. You performed with Lee Bryce.
I did.
And man, I Drive Your Truck. I mean, just the story of that song, and then the performance, and then to just break it down and do it acoustic. That was special.
That's another highlight moment for my like. That's again, whenever I've thought like maybe I should like try to do more or like what, but like ultimately I was like I got to have a moment on a big stage like that with someone like Lee Bryce and a song like that, and then the White House thing. Like I've already done. Like what else can you ask for after that? Because that moment, what a great song.
Yeah. Looking at it after the fact, kind of in retrospect, I wish I would have taken more time to enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
I think wearing the suit. Yeah. Having the uniform on, I realized that I represent about 186,000 other Marines on active duty, plus the folks in the reserve, plus all the veterans. Yeah. And I just wish I would have taken a little bit more time to have fun.
Yeah. I've thought that too, because I was in drill sergeant mode, so I was a little uptight. Mm-hmm. But that would be the only thing I would change about that experience. I wish I could go back and be like, hey, chill out, Chris. Yeah. Like, calm down. It'll be all right. But
we were all lined up, and we were getting ready to walk out on stage, and as a group, as all the service members.
Yep.
and they were just going to have us kind of walk out there, and I was just like,
nonchalantly,
we're all dressed up. We came all this way
in our formal.
I think we ought to like march out there and do a facing movement.
Yeah.
So they were like, "Oh yeah, that's great."
Yeah.
And then you, as the drill sergeant, you were like, "Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to line up here, and you're going to come from that way. You're going to come from that way." And we all kind of met in the middle. We did a facing movement. And
I just wanted it to be uniform. That's all.
It was great. It was great.
But yeah, I do remember because I was so glad because I was in E5 and I didn't want to be the one to be like, this is not. But when you said, I remember very distinctly when you said, I felt this wave of relief because I knew it was going to be televised. And they were like, yeah, just kind of, walk out there and then turn and face the crowd. And I was like, we're in formal dress uniforms. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But then you were you saved the day and made the comments, and we were able to kind of structure that to where it at least made sense. You want things to be if everybody is in uniform and there was a representation from every service member, every service branch. We had Air Force and Marines and Coast Guard and Navy and Army, and I think, right? There was one of everybody, or just about.
And the Guard. So there was.
Oh yeah. So I mean, of all the times that you kind of want it to reflect,
look sharp, yeah.
You want it to reflect who we are, and I was so relieved when you brought that up, because I was Matt and John were like, you gotta calm down. And I was chomping at the bit about several things. I was like, we gotta tighten this up. And they're like, it'll be okay. And then right around that time, you made the comment in a much more commissioned officer appropriate kind of way than what I probably would have done. And be like, y'all gotta clean this whole shit out. You swooped in and saved the day for all of us, and it definitely made me feel better because I was very concerned about.
There was a weird moment that I had backstage getting ready. So as you're getting ready for your performance, you kind of go through this gauntlet of people backstage, and this is the time of high def cameras and all this stuff. So now they have to put this high def makeup on you and stuff. And I'm backstage, and there's 3 people hitting me with a lint roller and somebody doing the makeup, and I that was foreign for me. And now I'm in uniform, and I look to my left, and it was the 4-star chief of the Air Force, and he's going through the same thing. And I looked at him, and he looked at me, and I was like, don't tell the commandant they're putting makeup on me. He's like, I won't. So then he gave me a coin. It was cool.
That is awesome. What a surreal, a surreal thing.
Yeah.
He gave you a coin then too? Hold on.
Did.
I brought you one. Hold on. I hope this is a good time to I gotta get it in my pocket here. So I had kept this on me, and then, oh, hold on, hun. Walked in and saw your kind of collection over here. I know all of us that have been in, we all have our collections of stuff. But I saw that, and I just the most recent coin that I got is from a friend of mine that works for a mounted patrol unit in Milwaukee, and she gave me this. It's one of the coolest coins I've ever seen, honestly. And she gave it to me at one of these work events that we did, and I saw your stuff, and I was like, of all the coins that I've had, one with a horse on it, I was like, she gave it to me. She's like, I know you like to ride, and I know you like horses and all that. So she gave me this coin, but I feel like it should be in your collection so people can see it. But it's from, it's their Milwaukee State Fair coin, but it's for their mounted patrol.
Oh, nice.
And it's it is so rad. So I saw that, and I was like, I know, I have that with me, and it needs to be in your collection, I feel like, because people should see it. Because look at how cool, for all the horse people that are out there, it's a horseshoe coin with,
it's pointed over towards that.
It's got their badge on it, and it's for this mounted patrol for Milwaukee PD, and I saw your stuff, and I was like, this has got to go. It's got to go where people will see it.
Well, thank you.
So,
much.
And I did not bring. I should have thought I should bring a challenge coin, because I'm coming to see another military member, because I have one or two I think maybe could compete with yours, because I went to the White House, but maybe not.
No, I think you win.
But I don't have, like, I didn't even think about that. But I, like, you don't come and interact with another military member without bringing a coin, right? So I'm so thankful that I have this one on hand that is from, from my sort of territory with like horsemen and, the mounted police thing and all that. And like, so I'm glad it kind of worked out like that I happen to have this one, because I feel like it should be in a format that people, are going to see it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for, and
that is gorgeous.
I was a huge fan as soon as I saw it. I thought it's a beautiful coin, and not just because I'm a horse person. I think it's beautiful. But yeah, like people should, maybe it'll stay, kind of. There it is. Yeah. Just don't breathe on it or touch it.
Yeah, I've got a collection. The rest of the collection is over there, and then I've got some kind of around the house. But
I'm sure you have a lot from the things that you've done.
You acquire things over time. Yeah. There's one that's right over there, and it's got a big number 2 on it, and that's from 2nd Marines. I was with my first unit was 1st Battalion, 2nd Marines, and that was the first coin that I ever got, and I didn't know what it was about. I mean, and then we talk about the challenge coin, and you got to have it on you, and if somebody challenges you, then you owe a beer or whatever. So I got to the point where I took this, I forget what kind of, some kind of crazy glue, and I glued it to the back of my G-Shock, my watch.
That's awesome.
And so that I would never lose the challenge,
That is amazing.
And then after my arm turned green, I was like, I don't think this is healthy. I should probably take this off.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I like that. That sounds like something I'd want to do, though.
Yeah. It was some kind of like super glue, something or other.
Yeah.
But anyways, so yeah, 2014 was a great experience.
It was. Yeah.
And I have enjoyed, watching you on your social media and seeing you just enjoy and love music and performing. Now, 2020, you released a song called Barefoot Mountain Child.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful song.
Thank you.
And I think we're going to hear it a little bit later.
Yeah, I hope so.
Right.
I mean, so that was like the first sort of like foray into putting songs out. Like I had left active duty, and for 4 or 5 years was trying so hard to play music that I wasn't really writing very much, because you work a day job, and then if you play every weekend, like you're I thought I could do both, and I could not. I'm not Superman, apparently. So 2020 rolled around, and it slowed down live playing where I was at. I think where everybody was at.
Everywhere, yeah.
And so suddenly this time and space opened up to actually pursue, like, legitimately write and sit down and record and pursue doing music. And that was the first, which is unfortunate, I feel like, in hindsight, because I had been, like, the whole intent with getting into music was to write and play. But, like, I did get kind of caught up in the live show thing, the cover band thing, because, like, you can find an outlet for that anywhere, and, like, a demand just about anywhere you go, I think. And I was very much like, hey, these places want live music and bands, and, like, so we were that was just the thing for a long time. And I had written Barefoot Mountain Child, written the lyrics, or at least the bulk majority of the lyrics, or that foundation of that song and concept when I was deployed. And having discussions with some of my teammates and stuff about my background and, like, where some of my outlook on what we were doing came from, because all deployment is, you have, like, there's things to wonder about and worry about, but, like, I didn't feel as concerned about a lot of things as maybe some of my peers did. But whenever that discussion came up, like, my end of it was always like, I think I just kind of got raised a different way. Like, I know where I'm going, when it's all said and done, and I'm not really worried. Like, I'm just this little Barefoot Mountain kid, sort of like doing my thing until it's my time to get called up, and so this concept kind of stuck in my head, and I still have. I don't know if the Marine Corps uses the little green books, the hardback green books, but that was where I initially wrote. Do you have one? I should have brought mine, because that's where the initial lyrics of this song were in. It was our mission book.
It's my green brain.
Yeah. And I have my little cover for it too, my Army one. But that was where, when you did your mission brief, you go and write down, like, here's whatever route we're going to take, and here's the frequencies, like all the stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And it was in that, because we were on a mission when I'd had that discussion with somebody, like, it was my driver. He's a cool dude too. I've talked to him a few times over the years, even still. But he's like, "Why are you always just like chilling and cool?" And I was like, I don't know that it's that I'm just chilling and cool about whatever happens to us. Like, I worry about it, but on another front, like, I'm not anxious about it, because I just got raised a kind of a certain kind of way, and I just don't get bothered by a lot of things. And this little kind of hillbilly Barefoot Mountain kid, I remember that was a conversation I had, and so that kind of stuck in my head about being a Barefoot Mountain Child, and like, you grow up this certain kind of way or the way that I did in Northwest Georgia, with this mom that instilled whatever her values and her faith was into her kids, and I felt like that kind of shaped me to do what I did in the Army, and to be okay with whatever came at me. And so I had this concept, I had certain I had a lot of lines of it already kind of done. And then when I won Operation Rising Star, Victor Hurtado, that was one of the producers, he was like, we're going to set you up with a co-write, which was amazing, because I got to co-write with Rob Crosby, who's a great Nashville songwriter, and he had written some of my favorite, like a Trace Adkins song that I love and that I performed in Operation Rising Star. And then, long story short, I get to write with Rob Crosby and then go and record this song in Nashville. And then we sat on it for years. We sat on it from 2014 to 2020. Wow. Because I didn't know, like, I'd always thought, like, should I do an album and then put it as a song on an album, or should I do this and that? And like, I was trying to, everything was independent all those years, so I just didn't have a lot of insight, like what should I do with it. But I think it's kind of providential and cool, because that year that I was able to finally release it, like, that was the year that I started to, I think, kind of come into my own a little bit with music, and start to kind of feel like, or understand, like, maybe I don't have to do it the way everybody has been saying I needed to do it. Yeah. Maybe I don't have to go and get a record deal or do it. Like, I can just do music in a way that works for me, especially with the way that the Army opened those doors for me to do music. Oh, yeah. So it was a cool first single to get to release.
It's a beautiful song. It's a great representation of who you are and your voice.
Thank you.
And I hope that we get to hear a lot more.
I hope so too. That's another goal for me moving forward in this other chapter of my life, is I'm going to keep playing music live when I can, but I think the goal will be, like, I do want to write. I want to make that the priority. Like, I love playing live, but you only have so much time in a day. So if you're going to work your day job, like, play music when you can, but like, you can't do all the things. Yeah. So I can't.
What's your writing method? How do you keep little notes? Is it a phone voice thing?
Yeah. My notepad on my phone is, like, that's been a big piece for me, as far as, like, if you're looking at, like, concepts of a song, like, some of my favorite things are for me best ideas that I want to, like, tell the world about, or stuff. Like, I'd be on a motorcycle or on a horse, just kind of cruising down the way, and something, like, because those are areas where, like, nobody else is really, like, you can't listen to a car radio, you can't, like, you're more or less on, like, this, if you're on a bike going down the highway, or on a horse going down a trail, like, that it's pretty much you in your mind, you know? And so some of my favorite concepts or favorite song ideas or lines, even like single lines that I've come up with, have been when I'm just by myself and going down the road, going down the trail.
When you have some literally, peace of mind.
Yeah.
You get some clarity.
Yeah.
And then you have the ability to open up to the to the muse.
But I do like doing co-writes. I've gotten to do a little bit with a couple of like local people, so there's one other song that I have and it was a little bit more kind of like stripped down. It was in 2020, and we were just like, we'll just sit down, like, let's just make a song. Like, let's not make it it doesn't necessarily need to be like a huge undertaking. Let's just kind of like write what comes to mind and something that we think would be fun to play. And so we did this other song and kind of worked on that to put that out. And it was a completely different songwriting process, but it helped me get comfortable with a different approach. And so I've done a little bit of that too. And I think, if you can, that's half of all of songwriting now, is people that can sit down and collaborate with someone else. Right. So I'm happy with that too. Like, I think it's very cool, and there's a lot to be said and a lot of accountability in what you're going to write. Like, if you can have the gumption to sit down with somebody else and have your ideas picked apart, well, that's good. You should do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
All right. So we're coming towards the end, and one of the things that we do is a rapid fire question and answer. All right. So
okay.
We don't need long answers, but just kind of the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
All right. You ready?
I do my best.
Okay.
I'll do my best. Okay.
Dream stage to play.
Red Rocks. Ryman and then the Red Rocks. Okay, on to the next one.
That's funny because the Brian Grilly is a Navy veteran, and he was on episode 3, and those were his exact 2 as well.
Oh, was it really?
And those are...
they're the ultimates. Like...
yeah.
Red Rock, because the sound at Red Rocks.
Yeah.
But I love the Ryman. So.
Yes.
But anyway, on to the next
Mother
one.
Church.
Yes,
all right.
the Mother Church.
Favorite MRE?
The Chili Mac.
Oh.
I mean, what?
Okay.
Chili Mac. Who doesn't? Yeah, but I like that. Okay.
All right, Chili Mac.
Okay.
All right, and then the last one is, who is another veteran artist that we need to be aware of?
Oh my God, Nathan Fair.
Nathan Fair?
Have you met Nathan Fair?
I have not.
He is fantastic. I love him. Yeah, look up Nathan Fair.
And then we were talking earlier, and you had mentioned the Mikkel Buck.
Oh, yeah, so... and only mainly because Mikkel Buck wrote a song called Irish Road. That, because where I was at in Iraq, we rolled frequently on. We call it Route Irish, but like the way that he wrote the song about that route. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think anybody that ever deployed or ever was in that area around Baghdad and did any time with wheels on the ground up and down Route Irish should listen to that song. Mikkel Buck is a great songwriter anyway, and a great vocalist in his own right.
I first heard about him. I'm not sure where he's from, but I know he plays in North Carolina a lot, and he plays at some of the places that we used to play in.
Yeah, I want to say up like West Virginia or North Carolina, South Carolina, something like that. He's up from that side of the country. I know that.
And I heard about him on The Voice because he was kind of like a local North Carolina guy that they were talking about. And then just the other day on social media, somebody said, "Hey, you ought to interview him." And we'll absolutely reach out. But I didn't know that he was a veteran.
Yeah. Oh,
and that's cool. And that's great because I really love running into different artists that I think are just fantastic.
Yeah.
And then to find out they're a veteran, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because the whole purpose of this podcast is not to, sit down with veteran singer-songwriters or military singer-songwriters who that's all they talk about.
Right.
Because that's not what we're after. What we want to do is showcase the artist and the person.
It's a comprehensive thing.
You know, but it's just cool the fact that, you know, that they were veterans too. So.
And there's some other, like, I mean, if for people that are into like the red dirt country thing, there's a guy like that's been a friend of mine in the Midwest, Chuck Bresenio, if you've heard of him. But he's from Texas, and that is his wheelhouse. But I mean, if you want to talk about like a fantastic like red dirt country singer-songwriter, he was an Army officer and got out and pursued music. I mean, that's another one. Like, he started in music when I did, but he went all towards originals, where I didn't have the audacity to do that. Yeah. Like, he had this gumption to do it, and it's been cool to watch him kind of come up too. So I would tell people, I mean, it's like, he's another one that, or at least somebody that I know and have watched his shows personally and download his music. And like, he's another one, like, why, like, you got to be somewhere, man. Cause he is pound for pound. I would put him up against any other red dirt artist out there. He's fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah. He's cool.
Yeah. And that's the community that we're building is just, we want to showcase military and veteran artists, but we also want to, turn their artistry over to a wider audience. You know, if we can help get the word out about you, them, everybody. Yeah. You know, that's what we're here for.
I think it's, what a cool concept.
Thank you.
And I think it'll be very fun to watch that progress and watch more people, you know, that I've seen in my little circles, you know, or that I've watched their stuff, get to see them have another opportunity, because it is, you know, I feel like, you know, it's not that we're looking for a leg up or a handout because we serve, but it also at the same token is like, well, you know, if you did your time serving, like, you didn't get sometimes the opportunity to go pursue the shows and the record contracts and even the time to just sit down and write. Like, if you're serving, like, you couldn't, it doesn't matter how much talent you have, you just can't when you're doing a job like that. You know, you're serving.
It's a big job with a lot of responsibility.
It's very hard. And so I always appreciate somebody that is willing to take a second look at people who were just either late to the game because of service or out of the game for a while, the music game, because they answer the call to do that job, to go and serve. So I think this whole concept is cool. I'm excited about it.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, we're building the airplane in flight. I'm learning about lighting and cameras, and we've got the audio down. We've got the recording studio that we built, which was my retirement dream goal, and here we are.
Yeah.
But I thought it was important to get the word out about great artists like you.
Well, thank you. So, I appreciate it. And
all right.
It's a cool thing for me.
Thank you. This is the VetTunes Podcast, and our guest today has been Christiana, and we look forward to more music from her. Yeah. She's going to play us her single, Barefoot Mountain Child, and hopefully we're going to have some new music coming soon.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. VetTunes out.
Been so long since I went out on my own, been so far sometimes I forget the southern sunset, a rope swing in the dogwood breeze blowing through the trees of the Tennessee foothills. I remember how it feels to be a barefoot mountain child, with the creeks and fields and trees singing their songs, growing up to the sounds of the wild. Mama raised me right and Mama raised me strong, this barefoot mountain child. Everything we needed, nothing that we didn't, was all we had and didn't have. kind of like a half-filled glass. It was a simple kind of life that Mama made us, but everything she had, she gave us. And I'll never be ashamed of this barefoot mountain child, with the creeks and fields and trees singing their songs, growing up to the sounds of the wild. Mama raised me right and Mama raised me strong. This barefoot mountain child, still in the heart of me, like a pony running free. Deep inside I'll always be this barefoot mountain child, with the creeks and fields and trees singing their songs, growing up to the sound